Hey everybody, welcome to part 5 of painting the portrait in Airbrush. I'm pretty excited about it. It's Wednesday, we made it, so that's really good. So I'm starting a little early because if there are any kind of technical issues, I don't want to cut into our 2 hours. But this is going to be really good. So this is our portrait, which we've been doing. This is like almost a little more than a month now, but this is where we're going to complete it, so that's going to be very exciting. So let me have my keyboard because I know I'm going to have to work in the chat. Let's see, so we're going to go to this scene here. Okay, and let's go ahead and connect the chat. And it always asks me every week, it's sort of tradition, that I have to go ahead and put in my email address in the beginning. Okay. Okay, and let's go. Oh, you know what it is? Okay. Okay, great. Now I gotta put in my password. And just go ahead and allow. Fantastic. Now just hit the event. And now I can see you. So we have Rick. Good to see you. How's it going, Rick? Thanks so much for stopping by. Really appreciate it. So it's 9:31, which is good. So we're right on time. I hope the sound is good. So what I'm going to have to do is make the font a little bit bigger so we all can see each other talking. Hey, so we have Rick Martin and Rick Lotta. Thanks for coming by. Happy New Year, guys. Thank you so much for stopping by. It's very exciting. So how can you guys hear me pretty well? And so what we're going to do is we're going to I'm not going to pre-mix because it's important that you guys see how I mix and everything like that. Oh no, I'm so sorry you had trouble finding me, Wendy. I did it a little differently. Last time I sort of did a, set it up beforehand, but I think something weird happened where it actually had 2 separate streams going on, so that was weird. So thank you, Rick. I appreciate that, and Wendy. So sound is really good. I'm going to go through the cameras. You tell me, guys, if the sound is good. So here's our side camera, and see the plan I got for Christmas? That's pretty cool. So it lights up, actually. Let me see if I could do that for you guys. Pretty wild. So if I turn the lights off, you kind of see it's pretty cool. Okay. And then we have this camera here. So hopefully you guys can hear me here. This is a good side view, mixing stuff. And of course here where I can talk to you guys, which is pretty cool. Okay. So how was the sound? Throughout all of them was fine as far as the different cameras? So what I'm going to do is remember when we go into, after not working, Kim, good to see you. Everybody welcome Kim. This is Kim's first time here. Very cool. She's a portrait painter and works in acrylic. And so that's very exciting. So thank you so much, Kim, for joining us today. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and mix our 3-to-3 mixture. So when we go in, we're not going in too dark. We want to go in light. Even though we're at the stage where we're doing much darker ratios, we are going to go in light just to get reacclimated with the painting, and then we'll go in dark in a little bit. Maybe within like 15 minutes to a half hour. Let's see. So we're going to go 3-to-3, so we'll increase that ratio by 3, so we're going to go 9-to-9. So as far as this is drops of ink, So we have 9 drops. Now as far as the water goes, it's full eyedroppers of water, and it's a 3-inch medical eyedropper that you can purchase basically anywhere. What you want to do, kind of lost count, so I think that's 9. What you want to do is you want to start out with a very light mixture like this. And you also want to mix your ink and make sure your artwork is far away, because a lot of you know, you could be a lot of little drops flying along. It happens all the time, and you don't want that disaster, especially, you know, at the very end of your painting, you know. Willie, good to see you. How are you? Happy New Year's. So great. Oh, okay. Thanks, Kim. 9. So I'm good. I lost count. I usually count them, but it was getting kind of like Sesame Street around here, or the electric company. Okay, let's get our favorite airbrush, which is the Sotar 2020 Slim. Take this bad boy off. Now what I have to do is I have to go turn on my compressor, which is in my closet. Now remember, Heath, good to see you. Happy New Year. Thank you so much for coming by. So cool. So we're going to do only 2 drops of India ink in here, in the airbrush. I think any more, and you could have a danger of it spilling. You don't want, it never happened to me, but you don't want to take chances. So your initial sprays of an airbrush, when you put ink or paint in, you never want to do your initial spray on your artwork. There's a lot of spitting, there's air pockets. And also you want to see how your airbrush is working before you go ahead and test it. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to illustrate this point for you guys. And what we're going to do is we're just going to do some quick dots, make sure the brush is acting correctly. We're going to lower the air pressure or adjust the air pressure. These are things you want to do in the beginning. You don't want to do these while working. And you can see this is a very light mixture. Okay. So let's go ahead and just start working on this mid-tone here. So since we darkened this value is going to pretty much catch up. So we're going to have a good distance, I would say about 5 inches away, and we're going to pump the trigger. And we're just going to darken and move around while we're pumping the trigger, creating a texture as well as darkening it. So skin is not smooth like chrome. It's rough, almost like sandpaper in this texture. So we want to go ahead and pump that trigger. Yes, Heath, looking forward. Yes, a year of flinging ink. So great. You are doing it fantastic, Heath. So I'm looking forward to all the great work you're going to be doing, and everyone else here. You know, I was just thinking, I think that, I honestly feel that I can see that a lot of people are actually utilizing India ink with the airbrush in the last month. And it's good to see, especially like on other airbrush group sites. So it is catching on, because working with India ink just is a pleasure when painting with the airbrush, right? Hey, Colin, good to see you. So glad for you to stop by. I'm glad you made it. And no worries if you have to go early. This is going to be up for you guys to see, so don't worry about that at all. So Happy New Year, Colin. So once again, we're just going to go ahead and we're just going to pump the trigger. We're going to vary some of the distance a little bit, just darkening and getting texture. And also worrying about, you know, how does this value here, how does this value, if it was two islands or two countries landlocked, what would the borders be like? So that's something you want to really think about too. Because those borders, whether they be hard or soft or straight or curved, is really just as important as the contours on the outside for getting that likeness. Kiva, good to see you. How's everything? So glad you're here. So Kim made it, Kiva, so that's really exciting. Great. It's good to have some girls here, some, you know, women artists always represented. Girl power, right? So you see, I'm just pumping that trigger. I'm still using, Kiva, that very light 3:3 ratio, 3 drops of India ink to 3 full eyedroppers of water. Even though I'm in the late stage of the game, I'm just getting reacclimated. I don't want to come in, you know, with a really dark, because when you're working that dark, those decisions, you have to be really warmed up before you do that. At least I like to. Now you can't see it, but there are some pencil lines that are going to show up, and that's normal. I'm sure, you know, those of us who have worked with India ink and paper, you're going to see some pencil lines, but, you know, erase as much as you can and live with whatever's there. It's no big deal. So out there, oh wait, Rick says he tried to start a portrait. It's not coming out so good. Show us on inkflingers.com, and you know, we'll take a look at it and see, you know, what's happening, and maybe there's just a couple of tips that we need to help you with. So don't throw in that towel yet, Rick. Sometimes the portraits or landscapes, you know, whatever you work in, which are the hardest, will probably turn out to be the most rewarding, right? That's what I think. Let's see, I'm getting notifications. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off my Chrome. Hopefully that will take care of that. Okay, fantastic. So I want to be the best live stream out there. Not for me, but for you guys. That's right, Rick. Never throw in that towel. You're a great artist, so we're very blessed to have you. And I'm sure you're being too hard on yourself with this portrait. Never judge a painting by where it is in the early or middle stages. At the end, that's when we judge it and decide whether or not, all in all, it was successful. That's the best way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try something a little bit different. I'm going to add a source, and I'm going to go ahead and show some of the work I did yesterday on the taste painting that I've just finished last night, and just see if that works. I'm going to do some testing, but as far as the live streams, I had to go ahead and upgrade my PC. I've been doing all this whole year of 2018 has all been on my laptop. It's a very good laptop, very strong, very capable laptop, but I need a desktop. In my desktop, I'm unable to do my digital painting. So with having better live streaming and also working with video editing and everything, so I had to go ahead and bite that bullet. So I think it's going to come on Saturday, so it's pretty exciting. As far as art goes, guys, I think it's important to see your art as a business. Don't worry about what it's making money. That's not as important. So there are a lot of businesses out there who employ a lot of people who don't make a dime for many years. So I think that if you look at your art as a business, then you won't feel so bad investing in yourself. Whether it be online classes, upgrading your equipment, your airbrush, your compressor. So I don't want you to feel like just because you're not making money, I'm not making money, we're not going to put money into the business. Sepia ink is very difficult. Rick, what brand of sepia were you working with? Was it P.H. Martin or was it one of the acrylic inks? I'm interested to find out what that was. So as you can see, I'm pumping the trigger, and with that very light mixture, I'm making very subtle adjustments in the forehead region. Oh, FW. FW is a great, but they don't erase very well. They have great saturation. They dilute really well. I love them. I think they're great, but they don't want to erase as much. Not as much as India ink does. Because of the acrylic. Acrylic isn't in India ink. So that's why you have a much better time with that. Over the summer, I did mix FW ink with Liquitex ink. And it actually worked out pretty well. I added some of the black to the sepia FW. That wasn't too bad. So what are some of your artistic New Year's resolutions out there? I'd love to hear. Are they to paint more, to take classes? What are some of them out there? I'd love to, you know, for me, it is doing a lot of things, trying to reach more students and try to expand my influence to help more people learn how to airbrush and pastel and everything like that. So that's my New Year's resolution, and do whatever I have to do to expand my influence. If our motivation is to help others, then all the other things are going to follow. I think success will just happen right behind it. Also, Kim says, oh, hey, Liquid Kicks, Jeff, how you doing? Congratulations. Congratulations on your engagement. How exciting is that? So, Jeff just got engaged. So, everyone wish him much luck and love. So, that's exciting. So, Kim says for her New Year's resolution, she wants to improve her skill and teach. Exciting. That's good. That's a great resolution. And then Willie says, just paint more and try to get better. Exactly. Me too. That's it. And Rick says, more time for painting. Try to learn values better. Yeah, it's so true. Values are the secret of good painting. Jean Augusta Dominique Angra said that painting is 85% drawing, that everything's in the drawing, and what's left off after drawing, you have the line, the value, only is left after that is color. So it's 85% of a good painting is drawing. and I believe that wholeheartedly. So we're going to go ahead and put in, Kiva says, hey Raul, good to see you. Jake, how's it going? Let's see. So Kiva says, be more successful than she was last year, build her business, and improve her technique. You are well on the way to that. Very cool. So let's change camera work real fast. Which camera? Oh, look at that. That's not good. Move that over there. Move our painting over here. I'll just show you how I put the ink in my Sotar. Here's the Sotar. And I'm just going to do 2 drops. 1, 2. Then I just expel the remaining ink. And then I just clean out that eyedropper. And we're ready to go. So let's see. Jeff says, believe it or not, I have not yet learned to draw with a pencil yet. I have used my airbrush. You know, hey, you're drawing with the airbrush, so that's good. There's nothing. Hey, you know how to draw. You're just using an airbrush, so that's cool. And Kiva says, hey Raul, hey Jake. So we have a really nice group today. We're starting off 2019 the right way. Remember, the initial sprays are never on your artwork. Air pockets get in there, and a lot of times you'll do it. You'll have a blowout. It'll go on your pen. Oh, the needle could be back. I'm sure you all dealt with that. So let's go ahead and continue our real subtle changes here in values. And with subtle changes, you're pumping that trigger. See that? And we're just trying to create character. I'm going to go in with the darker background a little bit, but I really love this like smoky kind of interest here. Kim says her art teacher made her draw for 1 year before I could do color. That's the French 19th century academic approach. Was basically don't touch color until one has a grasp of value. So what this whole thing is about, why I started the India Ink first as airbrush medium full-fledged, was that we learn how to go ahead and how we go ahead and actually learn value. I'm just going to go ahead. I have a little technical difficulty, but I'll be right back. Talks amongst yourselves. It's just going to take 2 seconds. It's like in A Christmas Story. Remember that movie we saw last week, which is everyone sees it? So see, we're back in business. It freezes, and I just got to unplug it and plug it back in. The Christmas Story, I love that part where he has a Christmas tree and the light starts sparkling, and he knows exactly which bulb to replace, or he licks the connection and puts it back in. It's really hilarious. Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that, Jeff. You know, this is a case in point that don't worry how it looks at different stages, especially early stages. I was having a hard time with this painting, but I stuck with it and didn't get emotional about it, and just kept with it. Actually, I don't know if she is. It was just a portrait, but she's not. She could be a ballerina. Hey, that's perfect. I think I like the way portraits can actually, like you are, Jeff, thinking like, is this girl a ballerina? Is she sad? Is she thinking? All those different things are really great. That's why I love portraits so much. So Wendy, did your Sotar Slim come yet? The 2020, I'm so excited to hear. And of course, another thing, you leave your air on. When you're painting, you leave that air on. You don't want to do starts and stops. So I have my air on, and then I start pumping. And then when I'm not painting, I keep the air on. I move around. So you want to keep your airflow going. Now we're at the later stages, so we can actually go ahead and start add some of that white when we need to. And when I add that white pastel, I can actually use this stump dedicated to white. Make sure you don't use a stump where you're using it for graphite. That would be a recipe for disaster. I am actually, Kiva says, what PSI am I? I start out at 20 PSI, and then I actually will lower it from the mag valve. And that really, I would say about 15 PSI, especially in the later goings. It's, you know, you really want to be very, very exact, you know. So let's say, so Jeff says her hair is loosely pulled into a bun and her expression shows focus and calm. Oh, great, thank you. So that's pretty cool. You know, right now you notice that, now that you say that, she does look like a ballerina, definitely. Great insight, man. Oh yeah, she ordered it, thanks Jeff, she ordered it from USA Air. So I'm just moving around, working on my edges here on the hairline, which is very important too. I love these later stages of the painting, guys, because really you're just moving around, you're tightening things up, you're working on relationships, value relationships, and because everything's all placed, and now you can really gauge where everything is. So it's really a great stage. That's why I usually will just call it done and do the finishing up later on my own. But I really wanted this for you guys to see how I sort of close out a painting. You know, what are my thoughts and my decision making, that sort of thing. Oh, let's see. So we say here, let's see. And Kiva says, cool, that's where I work. It's nice to refresh for newcomers just starting, and you're working on cardstock. Yes, I'm working on the De La Rowney, and this color is the Dreadnought Gray. And let's see if I could get that in focus for you. Now you can get this at Dick Blick. There is a Dreadnought Gray. It's by De La Rowney. It's called Canford. It works fantastic with airbrush, meaning that it takes some moisture and it doesn't warp. That doesn't mean you don't have to be very economic with how much wetness you put on that. Yes, Wendy, it's $8, which is really fantastic, and so $8, yes, and you get 10 sheets, and they actually have larger sizes now, don't they? I believe they're a little more expensive, but they use the ones that I get are 8.5 by 11 inches. Let's see. Thank you so much, Wendy, for putting that up. Let's see. A week before Christmas, Wendy ordered it, and then let's see. Oh, Jeff says, okay, if you want to send me a friend request on Facebook, she connect me with Candy, who is one of the owners of Badger, and she runs USA Air Supply. Okay, cool, cool. And let's see. So, yeah, any help we can have, but I'm sure you should be getting that soon. But yeah, any help would be fantastic. Thank you so much, Jeff. I appreciate that. So we've been over here, Jeff. We have been a lot of us have been purchasing that Sotar Slim, and everyone's very happy with it so far. That 2020. What a fantastic brush! It's unbelievable. Okay, so we're going to go over here, just continue. In a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and increase the ratio, but I just want to get some of the subtle shapes that you normally don't paint unless you're in the end game as we are here. Because as you know, guys, I don't like to resolve an area and then move on to the other area. I'll tell you so many pitfalls. First pitfall is the old master didn't paint that way, and there was a reason. And I also think because if you're not doing the whole painting at one time, you know, the whole painting, bring it all up together, you're not going to have a relationship. It's not going to have a unified look or even emotional look, you know. So that's really important. So definitely. And so, yeah, you know, the New Year's resolution is just to make sure that I utilize my 24 hours and continue with my YouTube channel and continue its growth. Actually try and exponentially make that grow. And I owe it to you guys for supporting me and encouraging me, especially during those moments during the year when I'm like, oh my God, am I doing the right thing, right? That's some of the things that go through our minds when we're a content creator, because we put so much of our effort and time into it and kind of wondering, are we doing the right thing, you know? And that's very, you know, it's a very real thing. But I'm very happy with the growth, and we grow every month, which is really exciting. And I think we grew like 200% as far as the YouTube page, which, you know, I have to be happy with that. Oh, Jeff Chamberlain, that's like same thing with my last name being Smith, right? Well, thank you so much for your help, Jeff. I really appreciate that. And of course, we're going to go ahead and we're going to load up. Now you can see those 2 drops actually lasted pretty long. You don't need much more. And of course the artwork is far away. Remember, initial sprays never on the artwork. So I'm just testing it on a square part of the paper here. So we are ready to go. Okay, Rick, go on your patrol. We'll be here when you get back, my friend. Ah, thank you so much. That's fantastic. It's good to have a connection over there in tech support, right? That's fantastic. So Jeff knows a lot about Badger airbrushes. He's a great resource. See, right here in the chin we can go a little bit darker, but I'm asking myself, do I want to go darker? going to go a little bit darker. And we'll decide. But let's get our freehand shield and make sure we retain that beautiful edge. Freehand shields are great. Not to be misunderstood with stencils. And everyone here knows my policy on stencils. Just want to make sure that I get that edge correctly. Fantastic. So very cool. So we have a little better edge there, and what I can do is I can probably curl that edge up here, and you can just crawl along the surface. I mean, you just sort of spray where you want that edge to hit. Then now we can always lighten that edge if we don't like it. And a lot of different ways you can lighten it up. You can do it with erasers, and you can even use white pastel. Before I use white pastel though, let's go ahead and just modify that edge with an eraser. I mean, modify, you know, maybe we can make that edge there, that little value as she's going down the chin there. We could actually make it smaller and just a smaller shape, just making it more elegant. When you're painting the woman's portrait, it's all about elegance and creating that elegance and not making them mannish. You don't want to do that. Oh, okay, so Wendy says she needs smaller ones because of the smaller paper. Yes, that's so true. They do sell smaller ones. I think Art Tool has them. I'm going to see if I can find a link on them because the smaller ones are really important. You can never have enough freehand shields because they always come in handy. There's always that one perfect moment where they're just like, that's, oh, great news. So Willie asks how the video is coming along. Video is coming along great. Exciting thing is that I upgraded to a desktop, meaning that I'm going to have a lot stronger video card in there, stronger processor. So I'll be able to go ahead and edit them faster. So we're going to have a lot of them for 2019. Thank you so much for asking, Willie. And this is going to be like a no holds barred. I'm going to show everything like I do here in the live stream, but maybe about a 5-hour video and just go over, everything. So it's going to be exciting. So I'm very happy to be able to offer that because I think it's just nice to have, and it's going to be a download, or you can get a DVD because I got a DVD recorder. So some people like to have an actual physical product. So I'll be able to send you the digital version of the video, and you can request for just like shipping and handling and the price of the DVD to have that as well. So what a great value that will be, I believe. Yes, Jeff, this is the Tombow. It's great. It's the mono. I have this one, the round, and I also have the chisel, which is really great. Both mono zeros. So I love them. I think they're the best. And thank you so much for asking, Willie. I really appreciate that. You got to get them. They're only like $4. The thing is, I go through them, so they sell the refills. So it's probably your most expensive eraser out there, but it is far worth it. You'll love it, Jeff. You should definitely pick it up. What I'm going to do is work on that hairline a little bit. There's a lot of variations here and there of values, just like that. Oh, great. Oh, thank you so much, Kim. I appreciate that. And this is going to be some really wild, different, different projects that I did on, not on live stream, Kim, that I'm going to uh, offer, which I already did them. A couple of nudes, a male nude, a female nude. I'm going to be offering a beautiful portrait. Uh, like a tranquil woman's portrait of a woman. So it's really great. It's going to be a lot of fun and a great learning experience. And they're going to be on my online store, so you can purchase them whenever you want. And I'm thinking of doing, okay, so, oh, typewriter erasers are really good, much like this one, which is the Perfection by Faber-Castell. Faber-Castell actually has different grades, and I'm sure everyone knows that. There are two of them. This one right here, the one that has a little brush, is a little softer. And this one is called, with the brush, it's 107 or 7058B for brush, and 7058 is harder, actually more aggressive. So it's good to have both of them. And they're hard to get. When you're at an art store, if you see them, stock up on them because they run about $5 a pop, $3 to $5. Now, since Jeff, we're doing a lot with paper, so we can't get too aggressive. So we tend to use more of the mono erasers and kneaded erasers. That seems to work a lot better. So Jeff, when you're working on Jeff does some amazing sneakers, athletic shoes. He paints on them, really fantastic. And what do you use with that? Do you use electric eraser, or you find that these erasers work well? And now Jeff works with golden acrylics, which I work in them when I work in acrylics as well. So Bill Kennedy sells them. Just bought a bunch from him. Oh, the typewriter erasers? That's fantastic, Kiva. Or was it the monos? And he says he has both Tombos. He loves them. I as well. And sometimes he wishes the pocket clip wasn't on them. Yeah, this little pocket clip. What the heck's that about, right? I mean, I don't think too many people are, have them in their, shirt pocket. So true. Oh, the typewriter erasers. How great. Are they similar to what Drew Blair uses? Those really with the green, it just looked like really like almost like a rock. Wendy says, like you're going to wear it with a suit. Exactly. Well, I'm going to the cotillion, but I want to make sure I'm able to erase at a moment's notice. Right? Too funny. That's so hilarious. The party was great, but I didn't have an eraser, and everything was crappy since then, Oh, okay, great. So this is good information from Jeff. He says on leather, you have to be very careful with erasers. I typically use alcohol and a paintbrush to erase. Listen to that. That's great. Oh, man. That's really fantastic. So, we do these live streams every month, and we have, and what I want to do is ask you guys, and most of you guys here are my regulars, and even newcomers, what are some of the things you would like to see from the live stream, the ink flingers? I know last week someone spoke of color, and that's definitely down the line. We're definitely going to use color. But what are some of the other things you would like to see? Subject matter, anything different like that? So this way, just pulse on what you guys are thinking. Electric erasers are good, but they're kind of scary, right? I mean, always use those electric erasers with caution. There are some errant hairs here and there, so I'm just going to put them in. And right here, since I have the eraser out, what's cool when you're working in this way, moving around? When you come in with a value or an eraser, or you come in with a paintbrush, you can see where you could use that similar technique all around. So that's one of the advantages of bringing everything up together. I've heard when people work on an eye, have it perfectly, they always say the second eye comes out better. And that's one of the caveats, so I feel. So Kiva says, yes, Wendy, the Sakura is a great one. And let's see, adding color, yes, and pastel. So Wendy says she wants to add color and pastel in the live streams, which is really good. So that's a good request and a great idea, and I think we can make that happen. Wendy says she makes big mistakes, so a heavy-duty eraser, about to get one out now. Oh my goodness. Just, if you're working with paper, be careful because you don't want to hurt the integrity of the paper. And you know that. I don't have to tell you. You guys are skilled in that. He says electric erasers are very, yes, I agree, scary, because even when working in wood, I found sometimes they actually went through the surface, actually sort of went to the wood. So instead of lightening, it actually darkened it. So yeah, you got to be very careful. I like to test it before I work on my artwork. So that's cool. So Kim says that's exciting. So, oh great. So very cool. Liquid Kicks, Jeff says wet the area that you want to erase with 91% alcohol and gently scrub with a paintbrush of any size you choose. Use paper towel and dry the paintbrush, and then use the brush to soak up more paint. Oh, okay, sort of a reduction. That's really cool. He says he also has the went. Don't like the button. Seems awkward. Wendy says yes, it's scary, but so am I when I'm mad. Well, I can imagine. So yes, I don't want to get you mad, Wendy. That's definite. So like I said, we're moving around, and one of the things that we have is this Fons and Porter. It's actually a Taylor's crayon, but look at that really beautiful point. So what we're going to do is we're going to use that, and we're going to just utilize. So right now it's great because at the end stage we can move around a lot. Create some of those effects here. Now be careful with the Fons and Porter, it does not erase, so you're going to put it down, it has to stay down, you know? Oh, good. Definitely don't want to get anyone angry. But I tend to get people angry, I don't know why. So what we're going to do is just move around. Get some of those really tight lights where we have that really beautiful edge that I think wouldn't hold well with the pastel pencil. Be selective in where your detail is, because you don't want it to be somewhere where you don't want to direct the eye, your viewer's eye. So you see I'm moving around with the white pastel. So I use that Fons and Porter for the larger, for smaller, tighter areas that I'm going to be very sure I'm putting it down. Now when I use the pastel, I am being a lot more loose and realize that it's just a paper stump or eraser away to move it, so no problem. Bill, how you doing? Good to see ya. And Willie says that he loves, let me see what Willie says. Willie says that he loves the live streams. Maybe you can do like a 6 or more week one. Oh, you mean like a project for 6 weeks? That's a good idea. Maybe just a little more in depth, right? So that sounds good. Maybe a full figure. That would be good. We can maybe go over, you know, what are some of my thoughts of actually constructing a painting, you know, how I construct a painting. So currently I'm on the search for a local model. So because I have some ideas for some fully realized paintings that I want to do in 2019. Oh, 6 or more weeks. Okay, great. That's fantastic. That's a great idea, Willie. Definitely. We definitely can do that. And let's see. Oh, so so let's see. For subject ideas, I love the profile pic of your painting on Facebook. It's still my favorite piece of yours, so maybe something with some landscape included. Oh, okay, like my Rachel. That would be cool. Yes. That's a good idea. How about a fully realized color painting in India ink? Wouldn't that be great? So, and I think that's something that would actually help bring India ink to the forefront, which I think we are doing right now as a group. India ink has really made a resurgence in the airbrush community. It's very easy to see, and I think we are partly responsible for that. It's just a logical choice when working with the airbrush, I think. Bill, you are always fabulous. That's the truth. I'm so glad you made it, sir. Oh, okay. Now Willie says 6 more a week. I finally. Sometimes I'm slow on the uptake, Willie. Oh, like that would be. Oh man, I would love to do six live streams per week, man. That would be a great way to spend time, especially hanging out with you guys. You know what I mean? So that would not be hard work at all. And what I'm gonna do, like I said, I like moving around, so I'm gonna go ahead and just work on some contrast here on this ear, a little bit interest. Nothing, just slight touches. And let's see, Wendy says she likes the airbrush way more for a wood floor than colored pencils. No, yeah, if you're going to be working smooth, smooth textures, there is nothing like the airbrush, as you know, Wendy. For man-made objects, I think that the airbrush is fantastic. And let's say, so Kiva says, I'll gladly take one of your off your hands, Jeff. Wow, look at that. Louis Vuitton. That's fantastic. Way to go. And Jeff says he's super excited to paint something bigger than 4x4 average surface of a shoe. So that's very cool. But look how cool it is that you were able to paint that small. And then he says, would love to see a color painting. Haven't done a black and white. Jumped into color, but for sure would like some tips. No, definitely. Now, what's exciting about how I've been experimenting with India ink is I use not the approach that one would think, which is working in just transparents. I actually work in opaques. Much like what Drew Blair does. I mean, I'm not comparing my technique to Drew's, but we are similar in the sense that we both like to use we both definitely like to use opaques. Okay, I'll be right back. So I think I'm using I'm getting the desktop just in time because we are having some technical difficulties. Nothing too bad today, but you see we are back in business. Sometimes this camera actually freezes. It's not the camera itself. The camera is fine, but it's the cam link by Elgato. It's the older generation. There's a newer generation, so I'm sure that doesn't happen. And let's see. And oh yeah, you don't want to make a mistake when you're working on a Louis Vuitton, right? That's for sure. But Jeff knows how to erase, so that's good. Jeff says he uses only transparent colors, which is great, and there's nothing wrong with that. He says, what would be a good opaque ink? Well, actually, it's funny you should say that. All of the India inks, now for colors we're going to be using P.H. Martin. They all start out transparent, very thin. But once you add white, it becomes an opaque, because that's the secret, is that when you add white, it changes the whole complexity and nature of the paint. It no longer, see, when we're working in transparency, as we are here, with transparent, as you go over it again and over it again, it just gets darker, but it oversaturates the surface. Once you add white, it is no longer acts as transparent, so when you spray it down, it's going to be that value throughout. And it also mixes better. But when you're doing something like, painting a portrait, you want to have that opaqueness, because it's going to actually mimic what's happening with the face. So it's pretty cool. Has that look of an oil painting, so that's nice. Bill says transparent is nice to work fast, but to really do transparent color, you have to understand color overlay. Yeah, glazing is very important aspect of that. I think the best way is to try and incorporate. Now, Jeff, you do incredible things with the transparent, and definitely it's a way to go. I'm an oil painter. I was trained as an oil painter and a pastel painter, so I immediately just gravitate towards that. Gravitate towards, mixing white with color and that sort of thing. So you see I'm building some of the light, because the light is, some of her features are facing more directly to the light source, and so those direct, those areas that are directly facing are going to have a little more buildup of light, a lot like the snow drifts, where the snow is coming at a certain angle, and those opposite side where the snow is hitting it is actually, so if this, actually no, so the snow is coming from the right, there's going to be snow drifts to the right of a building. Same thing, if the light source is coming from the right or the left, that side is going to have the most light hitting it. And it builds up just like snow. So think of it like that. Oh, okay, Jeff, take care. So I really appreciate stopping by, and any help that you can give fellow ink flingers with customer service and tech support with Badger is greatly appreciated. And so glad you stopped by, man. What a great treat. Kiva says she mostly uses transparent and just opaques for the buffer color. Very interesting. So you see that there's no right or wrong way. It's all the right way for you guys, right? And that's it's good to try different techniques from different artists. Creating some texture here in her eyelashes. And let's see, Bill says, so what do you call the one-leg girl? Uh-oh, I am not, hey, welcome back, Rick. I am not sure about that question. Bill says Peggy. Oh man, that's too funny. So I'm so glad that you're back. That's pretty cool. Yes, covering mistakes, very important. So opaque is very important for that. I've done some videos with, painting opaquely with the airbrush in early 2018. And so if you guys check it out, that's going to be a good precursor, because I'm going to be using the India inks in the same exact way. No, I'm not touching any, no. This day and age with politically correctness. Bill, you're a brave man over there. You guys are funny. Thanks so much for cheering me up today. So we're just as you can see, we're just sort of moving around. And now what's interesting here is that right here it kind of looks like, I don't know, is it a little too dark? I think it might be. Wendy says she needs to cover her whole drawing then. Let's see. So we're just gonna lightly tap that. And then we can just dust that area. Okay, so pretty soon we're going to go ahead and start darkening this up a bit. But I still want to do some of that pumping back and forth. Maybe darkening this value a little bit more. So I'm going to stand up for that. Definitely want variation here. This is not just a void. There's a lot going on in the forehead. And it's great in the early stages when we actually hit that white. It's really paying dividends now because now we have a lot of leeway to go in the midtones, which is really what we want. And when we initially went into white, it wasn't really where the highlights are, it's just the lights, which is really advantageous and good planning in the end game. So, oh, Wendy says she's so alive, Tim. Oh, I appreciate that. Bill says 14-year-old told her that joke. That's funny. And Wendy says, great artists often cover a painting and start again. Oh, yeah, that's rough. I don't know if I advocate that. Let's see. So Willie says, Tim, could you show any tips for painting facial hair? Yes, that would be cool. So that would be something cool to do for 2019. Yes, facial hair is pretty scary, right? It could be intimidating, and a lot of artists have an approach avoidance where they will skirt around the subject there. Facial hair is just, it's all subtlety, right? But we'll definitely go over that. And just a lot of it is value, right? You just have to make sure that those values are, are correct. Once those values are correct, and the edges, the edge work is very important with facial hair. Oh, cool. So Heath says, Wendy says, Heath says, Tim, her expression looks as though she's eager to move. Very cool. Ah, thank you. And Wendy says she wants to dance. So I appreciate it. That's one of the successful things about that you hope as a portrait painter, right? I mean, can we get an emotional response? And that's why I always prefer the model to be looking at me when I pose them. So this way they're going to be looking at the viewer, and the viewer is going to have that human connection, which is going to be great. Hey, that's exactly what I want. Wendy says you typecast my drawing. Exactly, that's what I want. I mean, look at the Mona Lisa, not comparing my work to Mona Lisa, but all the stories about the Mona Lisa and also Johannes Vermeer. They did a whole movie on the girl with a pearl earring, and none of that was correct. I mean, there was some loose historical data that was in the story, but that whole story was sort of like, just like a hypothetical on who that girl was who posed for the girl with a pearl earring. And Bill says, we can dance if you want to. That's too funny. Okay, so now let's go ahead, and I think we're ready to just darken it up. So what do you think? I'm going to do a 7 to 3. So that's 7. We're going to really make a big jump. So with that dark India ink, I'm going to move it over here. We're going to move our light mixture, which is 3 to 3, over here. So we don't want to get them mixed up. So 7 to 3, so I'm going to do 14 and 6. So I'm going to count only because I lose count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay. Look at that. That is very little ink that you use. But it's amazing. It's the most economical way to paint, I think. So we're going to get our paper. I'm going to do 7 to 3. So we're going to do 6 drops of the water. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We never get a full, so we're going to do 7 because we doubled it up. So now we have a very, very potent mixture there. We're going to go ahead and see if I have anything left in my Sotar. Just expel that. You know, with this mixture, you just want to make sure it's mixed before you put it in the airbrush. 1, 2. Uh-oh. Drop the eyedropper in the water. It's good to have a lot of water, something like this. And so a lot of water is very important. So when you're cleaning your airbrush and you have sufficient water. So we're just gonna go ahead and test. See, you never want to do any of this on your artwork. Making sure everything's working. Everything's working good. Okay, great. Let's see. So he says, do you have a drop count for a dropper full of water? No, I don't. You know how many drops are in a dropper of water? No, I don't. That's interesting. Actually, that's very interesting. I should definitely look at that. And let's see. So Kiva says, a lot of artists who teach say to start with the darkest value. Being an oil painter myself, I've always done that, and lights to dark. So you think that makes a difference? I really feel that working from dark to light is a bad way to go. And I'll be, it's just, I know oil painters do that, but if you're going to, I like working mid-tone and then going dark and light from there. And I think if you have the mid-tones, you build the mid-tones, and then you can start popping out those lights and carving out those darks. That's the way I work. And I think, now just for me, it's a lot easier. If I'm going too dark, lightening is always very, very hard to lighten things up. Do you feel the same way, Kiva? He says, I find that when I start with lights, adding the darks can change the lights. True. One person who I studied with, very talented painter, said to go ahead and key the lights. So have an area where you have the brightest lights and the darkest dark, and then gauge everything from there. So Kiva works from light to dark. I actually find myself working from mid-tone to my darks and then my lights, going back and forth. So starting with that mid-tone, like doing all the details, but really just sort of bringing it into focus. So now we have this dark. Now we can kind of make some, maybe some stronger decisions. And then right here we can make some stronger decisions. Let's go ahead and bring out that Blackbeard wheat and see if we can use it. I'm not sure if we'll be able to use it, but let's take a look. I love using this Blackbeard wheat, and especially with you guys, so you can see different ways to actually get some really cool technique. Just to get some nice hair texture. Now, if you guys seen my painting, Taste, which I just finished yesterday, I utilize Blackbeard wheat a lot. Well, let's see here. This is kind of like a a stencil, but you know, this is sort of, you know, I'll usually loosely use it just to get some of those really nice organic textures with the hair. And I'll dust over it. And then I'll come back and just, you know, play with it a little bit. We'll come back with this eraser here. But it's important I keep this very fuzzy. So I actually, in the 2000s, from 2001 all the way to 2007, I lived in this city called Paterson, New Jersey. Has anyone heard of Paterson, New Jersey? It's kind of a rough neighborhood, but it has a lot of character. And one of the things I really enjoyed was the old architecture that was there. It was really beautiful and very inspiring as an artist. You know, I find a lot of the poor areas in New Jersey, the poorest cities, have the most history, and that's what I found with Paterson. So the reason why I'm bringing it up, because there's this movie out actually called Paterson, Paterson, and who is actually starring in it is the actor who plays Kylo Ren in Star Wars, and he's a bus driver. And the reason why I bring it up, because he's a bus driver and he has a regular job and he has a wife, and he lives in the same neighborhood that I lived in when I was an artist, a full-time artist, and then also working a full-time job years ago. And the dynamic is he's a bus driver, but he's a poet. So he writes on all his spare time, and just really a fantastic story. If you like great dialogue and just a well-written movie, Paterson, you can get it for free with Amazon Prime. So look into that, guys. I think you'll really enjoy it. You're all artists here, so you'll understand. We all want that New Year's resolution where we're able to create more, and I think he had that struggle, so I think that's great. So let's see what I missed. Let's see. Oh, Wendy says one dropper is exactly... Let's see. Wendy says one dropper is equal to exactly 1/8 a teaspoon. Look at that. See, I'm learning a lot. Okay. Bill Kennedy. Bill says I use Blackbeard wheat now. Oh, great. And what a cheap way to get some great hair texture, right? It's just great tool. My pleasure. Bill says easier than most other things. It is, and the hair you get is so organic. So just really get that look, even the negative and the positive, both ways. And Bill says even opaque in an airbrush will color shift over dark. Yeah, color shift is really hard, and that's something that, you know, we have color shift here when we're doing India ink, but once we use color, because we have color temperatures, and that's really, you have to really do a lot of practice spraying on a test panel before you do it. So that's very important. And then he says so many drops are in just, oh, so many drops are in, just kidding. Oh, wow, that's so cool. So yes, great information. So I love the fact that we're talking about stuff. And Kiva says, since transparent, always darken. It's kind of a safety net. Same with inks. It is a safety net. Opaque kind of takes you out of your comfort zone, right? Because once you go opaque, then you have to make decisions. And, you know, you can still save the day if you make a mistake, but it's not as easy. So yes, it's very difficult. So you see I just gave a little bit of life to the bun there, not too much. And then we'll dust over. And just calm down. We'll lower that contrast. That's important. Make sure that contrast is not too much. There we go. And then we can darken this dark here. This value just a little bit because we darken the mid-tone. So we can, and when we do that, it sort of changes what's adjacent to it. And I'm sure you guys find that out a lot. If you change one area of value, it pretty much affects all the other areas. White will always shift, yes. I find with India ink you have to be very careful, even doing these monochromatic ones. You will get some wicked, crazy blue shifts that will just make the work look horrible. Just like a chemical reaction. The good thing about working with India ink is that the white is very thin, so you have less of a blue shift, but still enough to really cause havoc to your values. I'm going to go ahead and just darken up this area here. So I'm not sure, it's been so long. Did I create? I don't think I created a mask for her portrait. I don't think I did. It's been so long. This is actually week 5. I'm just going to darken that value, create some interest, but still have that smokiness. Kind of has that old photo look, which originally what I was after when I actually saw this piece. It's sort of like the vision that we have for a piece. So who out there uses Photoshop? And if you do, how do you utilize Photoshop for your paintings as far as compositions, setting up values, that sort of thing? Let's see. Okay, so Rick says, I would be happy if I could use my Sotar. I get one thing fixed and another goes down. It is frustrating. I'm really sorry about that. He says, Rick, what issues are you having with the Sotar? Mine is okay, but had a faulty air valve. Oh, I remember you had to, Heath had to send that back. So actually, Heath's a good person to talk to. Okay, so I think we're not doing any, like, you know, at the end game, we're not doing drastic changes. We're just little subtle tweaks here and there. Remember, a painting's not finished, only abandoned. I think Leonardo da Vinci said that. So it'll come to a point where we're just going to be like, okay, on to the next one. Wendy says she only uses it for colors. I think her eye is deceptive. Bill says, Heath, depending on paint you are using, for instance, I may, with illustration colors, blow orange through. You do have to. So think about it. If you're going to have a blue shift, you want to combat that with its complementary color, a color that's going to sort of, you know, as Bill is alluding to, a color that's going to fight that blue, and that is orange, and that's why artists will add just a little bit of orange to their white, and this way you'll be able to still maintain that really beautiful white. And especially if you're using white to lighten up color, you know, and that's where the opaque comes, because now you're, just as here, you know, where I used a pastel to lighten some areas, in the later stages of, you know, working in color, you're going to be using white to lighten up, not just white in itself. So I use it as an additive color, you know, let the colors mix on the surface, as opposed to trying to mix the perfect color. Okay, here's something that I have an argument with. I don't like mixing the exact color to go on that painting. That's not how I was trained. I'm not saying that's not the right way or the wrong way, but for me, I was trained not to look for that exact color. Be close, but arrive at the color. You want to arrive at the value. And that's sort of not trying to get it perfect. A lot of things with people use little squares and got to get that value and hit it there. No, that's not how I was trained. I was trained more classically in New York, and basically you're going to arrive at the correct value. You're going to arrive at the correct color. So you don't want to just over analyze color before you put it down. Bill says it does alter the white value subtly. However, it appears to brighten without the blue tone. So perfect, yes. He says we'll have to check it out. Great, learned something today. Thanks, Bill. It's fantastic. Rick says I've learned the air valve replaced, then the needle packing bearing. Now the head is leaking. Oh my goodness, that sounds like a lot of problems there. I'm so sorry about that. Okay, so on this side, we're going to go ahead and darken a little bit. Keeping everything sort of blending into the background, but just deepening that background. But maintaining some texture, which is very important to me. And I do like having it get lighter as we go further up. Reason being, it gives the appearance that she's in front of a wall. So that's when I used to study at the Academy and at the Art Students League in New York City, we always painted the model in front of a gray wall. And we'd have long 2-week poses. And always when you got better and better, it wasn't just a gray background, but what the light was doing on that wall. Is it getting darker as it goes away from the skylight and lighter as it goes towards the skylight? And that's very important to create depth. So do we have a healthy live stream today? I mean, were there a lot of people out there? Wendy, what was the most people you've seen in today's live stream? If you were, you know, if you noticed. Oh, cool. So let's see. So Kiva says the camera is limited on the amount of color it sees, but also omits the subjective interpretation of the human visual experience. I try to look at the color as it really is instead of relying on a pick. Definitely. And that's why working from life is always good. I did 8 years of working from life, and it really did pay dividends. It gives your work a different look, because you experience the world more visually, and then you could see things. You have maybe a better map when you're looking at a photo. And let's see. Wow, same to his problems when he sent back his Sotar, he said. He asked about the needle packing. It's not likely that his Iwata in adjusting the packing is not easy. Oh, so Kiva said 16. Okay, not bad. Not bad. 16 is a good number. Didn't count. Wendy says didn't count about 10. So it does fluctuate, so that's good. I know there would be a lot more if I went on Facebook, but I just don't want to go on Facebook. I'd rather have it here on YouTube. Number one, it helps out our channel, which is really good. And then we could move people over to inkflingers.com. So remember what I did is that when I first went in, whenever I first go into a painting for the first couple of minutes, I always make sure I go with a 3-to-3 mixture, because this way I'm easing into the work. Do not start your day off, whether you're working in acrylic or India ink, whatever, with a really dark color, because you want to make decisions that are little decisions, just getting back into the game. Like a pitcher, he has warm-up pitches on the mound before he faces a batter. Same thing, it's so important. Especially if you're not painting every day, life gets in the way. Hey, I understand. So, you know, perhaps you can't paint every day. So you want to make sure that you are starting your day using very light values. Oh, okay, cool. So Kiva says on her PC it shows the count, which is cool. 16 is a good number. One day there's going to be so many, I know it. It's just a matter of time before it catches on, and it's going to be different. But you guys are always going to have carte blanche because you were here during the early days. I kind of like it in this small stage right now, honestly. I mean, I'm enjoying it because when it goes, it's going to be a lot different. I see a lot of these other channels that are just huge, and the live streams are so busy, it's hard to even get a word in edgewise and to see anybody. So this is a good stage. Look how wonderfully the India Ink erases at this very late stage, guys. And I'm not, what the really interesting thing is, I'm not putting any pressure on here. See that? No pressure whatsoever. So wow, it's 10:57 already. We're already an hour and a half into this live stream. It's unbelievable. So 9 people are watching now. Very cool. So welcome everybody. Thanks so much for stopping by. Appreciate every one of you. Whether you're just looking, that's cool too. Just remember to subscribe and hit that like button. That always is good. See, if you hit that like button, guys, when I put the live stream on YouTube, that would be great because it helps out the channel and the algorithm, and so that's always a good thing. If you guys remember. So many little subtle things with hair, but you don't want to go too crazy because hair is subordinate to her eyes and her lips, and you don't want the painting to be about hair. You know what's interesting? There's always lights within the darks, right, guys? So we always got to look for those lights in the darks. Right, if there's too many people, it does get a little crazy and it does lose. But there are going to be opportunities when this channel does grow, guys. Opportunity will be that, you know, maybe we could have some giveaways and, you know, some exciting things like that, and maybe have some guest speakers on here. Just a lot of different things we can do when it does grow. But this is a great stage. We have some really light, we have a sort of inner contour here that I want to explore. So we're going to go ahead and go light here. So this is what we're looking at right now. So I'm going to take, now I'm not going to be working with that really dark, ink, right? We're not going to use this. We're going to use the 3 that we put the ink on the left side there. Okay, so what I do is I always will, let me just go here. So as you can see, I never dump, pull the ink or paint and then go straight in. I always remove some of the excess color or ink. And now we're going to go ahead and see if we could just get a little bit of a detail. I think that's very important for me. See that? This is just for me. Not necessarily needed, but it's just detail I want to see that I really like. Look at this little tiny little wrinkle here. Little baby wrinkle. Just like I said, it's not going to mean anything in the grand scheme of things. I just like it. And, I'm sure you guys do the same thing. Now I can go ahead and take our really dark, what was it, the 3 to 7, the 7 to 3, and I'm going to hit some of those really dark eyelashes while I'm here. But like I was saying, my live stream might not be making a lot of money at this point. I mean, I am making some money. Affiliate marketing, when you guys purchase something in the links, that really helps out, and I make some money. I get a little bit of money from Google AdSense, since I reached that 4,000 watch time hours in 365 days. So now I'm monetized. But even though I'm not making a lot of money, it doesn't mean that it's not important, that we shouldn't. I don't like that whole thing, fake it till you make it, because we're not faking it. We're all real artists. So let's treat our art as what it is, which is very important. Very forgiving, guys. Not too forgiving, but it's very forgiving. Supplies and put money into your business, in your art business. It doesn't matter how much money you're making, it's still a very important business. Okay, so it looks like we lost at the hour-and-a-half mark. Okay, so I have to sign into Google once again. Let's just go there, sign in with Google, email. Let me get my keyboard here. Just be 1 minute. We'll see the chat again. And my password. This should do it. Okay, great. Almost there, guys. Great, this should do it. Let's see. Now all I have to do is, there we go. Okay, great. So I see you guys again, which is fantastic. So we're good. Hold on 1 second for me. Okay, we are in good shape. Let's see. All right, thanks so much for hanging out. How is it now? Is it fine as far as, because it looks like we are a little bit frozen. Are we better now? Oh, to spend money, yes, definitely. Well, Bill, we have to really feel that, we're at our stage in art and painting, and it's important to, accept that stage and just, you know, take ourselves seriously as painters. Too many people don't take art as serious. And I think that's just a weakness of our society, thinking that artists are anything less than serious. And there's a lot of really crappy artists making a lot of money out there. So making money really means nothing, right? Uh, Definitely, I really feel that making money is not the benchmark as far as seriousness as a painter or any kind of artist for that matter. Okay, so we're in good shape now as far as the stream and everything, so that's good. Kim, how you doing? Okay, great. So everything's good. Perfect. So we're in the last 20 minutes, 23 minutes of our live stream. So far, I think we had a very fun, informative live stream. Very good interaction as always. And we really got to see like my thinking on how I finish up a painting, and just uh, loosely refining everything. Not going crazy, but just very loosely bringing things together, working the ensemble. Angra said that you want the painting to look like it was painted all at one time. And I think that's what we do get when we do that. So I have my Fons and Porter Taylor brush, which is great. And we're just going to... So the light source is coming here. So on these little wrinkles on her lips, the highlight is going to be on the right side. Even though the light's coming from the left, the highlight's on the right side of those little wrinkles in her lips there. Little tiny things that add up and just create a visual interest. He says he's going to paint money, or no money would be nice. Oh yeah, money would. Actually, when I was having trouble financially as an artist, things happened, and I had to go ahead and work a full-time job. The first one I did, this was in 2007, the first full-time job I had in like 8 years. And I started doing the currency series, which was basically saying to myself, if money's going to be, you know, an obstacle, why don't I make that money part of my art? And I did. And actually, it's a very successful series. I might pick it up again, my currency series. Bill says, I quote, 20 jobs a week, often they disappear. And then let's see. So we're just going to work on her lips a little bit. Now what we can do is make sure we have a nice reflected light underneath her lips. Might be just a little bit stronger than what I have, but let's take a look. I think that's nice. Gives a little added. I mean, remember there are detail in the shadows, but they're whispers. You wanna actually touch on those whispers. And then we can take the white pastel, and on her nostril we can emphasize that nostril coming forward in front of and just emphasize some areas where, you know, with the way that her mouth is, that it's facing the light a little bit more. Oh, yes, Bill says he needs a money manager. That's always important, right? I find that, you know, it's not so much how much money we make as how we manage it. I don't think I'm the best at it, but I'm not the worst either. So I'm coming into the closing moments, like the last 15 minutes. So not necessarily of the painting. I'm going to do some offline, but basically as far as this live stream is going, just as you can see, I'm moving around a lot, creating visual interest and directing the eye. So all those different thought processes I want to impart to you guys. And we can also work on some of the edges here. I see right here we can lose the edge by her ear. Just darken that and just soften it a little bit. The hair just above, and just soften that, and I think that's going to help. So now we're thinking edges. How can we make those edges really sort of tell a story of the atmosphere she's in? And the same thing with these edges that are totally lost here. Some edges here. See how here on this part of the lip the edge is totally lost? So we want to make sure that we impart that too. So it's not just, you know, whether we get that value or we're getting that contour, but other deeper aspects such as edges and how an edge can tell a story, from a soft edge to a hard edge to everything in between. And I think that's very important. Same thing here. In her lips here, it's a little ardent, meaning that it's a little strong. So I'm just going to weaken that value a little bit, just a little bit. And I'm just going to gradually do it, so make sure I don't go too overboard. So I can see how it gets lighter and lighter as we go. Same thing here. You want to see where the edge is catching up. So right here in the corner of her mouth, you see a little bit more edge than you do on the up part of her lip there. Same thing on the inside, is that you want to see what's happening as far as the details in the shadows. And it actually goes a long way as far as expression. Not only expression that's in the model inherently, but it's also expression that you want to portray. We don't have to slavishly copy what we see. We can make those slight adjustments, so that's important. He says, I only sold one painting this Christmas, would like 4 per month. I still work full-time, but I would like to retire and just paint. Yes, and that's a real that's a goal that's achievable, Heath. And in 2019, I do want to do some videos and maybe a live stream on selling one's work on the internet, and just sort of bread and butter, like some of the things that you need to do, such as a PayPal account and an eBay account. Also, different websites like fineartamerica.com. Check that out, where you can sell prints of your work, and a lot of other things, Cafe Express. So it is, and I'm going to go ahead and do that, because I think that's something that we all need to learn. So you guys going to have a contest? Oh, cool. I'm going to work on that edge here. Get that off of there. Oh, looks like we're running out of ink a little bit. And let's go ahead and refill the Sotar. So we're getting to the closing moments of our live stream. And I really appreciate you guys. I think we have like another 12 minutes or 13 minutes. Remember, see, the initial sprays, it doesn't come out. So you definitely want to do those initial sprays after you refill the airbrush off of the work. And not even near the work. A little darker over here. So I'm just going to pump, keep a good distance. Even if you're working with a dark value, a ratio such as 7 drops to 3, if you keep your distance, you're going to be able to be very, very subtle with how you put down that tone, Wendy says she's never sold a painting. That you're going to, sure. That's not indicating of the future. Wendy says, Kiva says, painting looks fantastic. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you. Remember, guys, everything that you learn as an artist, whether it's 5 years ago, 10 years ago, or whatever, you're going to be utilizing that in your work at one time or another. Or even you're going to be utilizing, you don't realize you're utilizing it. So all the studying that you're doing is really important, and it's sort of money in the bank that makes you a better artist. And I also think working in different mediums and going outside your comfort zone every now and then is very important too. That's why I started working in digital art about a couple weeks ago, and I find that's very important. He says his painting of Lana got that job. My painting of Lana got that job, doing Rebecca now, and hope I can get another from that. You see? Exactly. So worry about doing the best work you can, like Kiva says, and success will come naturally. But that's not saying that we can't do things to hurry success along. Now, I'm talking about financial success with your artwork, which is totally different, but it's all part of it. Part of the artist's job is to get to work where people who are influential and can change your life, your career, can see it. So your job's not over when you paint the picture. Your job is just beginning, because now you have to market it. And until we can afford someone to market our work, we're it. We're the marketers. We're public relations. We're all that. No, you don't want to give your stuff away too often. I mean, once in a while as a gift, that's good. But that should be once in a blue moon. There are a lot of avenues to sell your work. And I think you want to do work with the intent to sell, And that's a good way to sell your work, because then you can actually gear yourself towards the market within the boundaries of your own style. That's important. Now, when it comes to stuff you're doing, like your own stuff, don't worry about selling that stuff. That stuff is going to sell itself. But worry about getting that stuff out there. Worry about selling your brand. What's your brand? You know, just like Target or Andy Warhol. What is your brand? And that's what everybody should work on. There's a great book that's called Known. Known. Really good book. If you get a chance, read that. Really fantastic about becoming known in your field. And we all have to become known, guys, right? Kim says she sucks at that. Yes. But we have to think of ourselves just as if we own a business, right? We have to. We have to say to ourselves, how are we going to get the work out there? Yes, you created this great work and our family can see it and our friends. That's great, but our family and friends are not going to shell out the money to push it. So really, guys, that's something I want to really talk about. I'm going to show you a book. I think that's very important. It's in my book bag. This is something I'm reading right now. The public library is so important, really is. One of my most... So right here is this book that I'm reading called Fascinate. And it's by Sally Hogshead. And basically she talks about what we can do to get our work out there, but to create fascination, to the people we want to see our work, and who we think that those people would really appreciate our work and then push it to be financially successful. These are techniques that companies like Coca-Cola and McDonald's and that use to actually, this is what she gets paid for, corporations, to help push her brand. So definitely pick that book up if you want to take your art to that next level. You really have to do that. Now I'm talking next level with exposure. And you guys also got to get, now who out there in 2018, and it's good, Willie says he paints just for you, and that's great. I think that's perfect. And I think that's cool. We have to know, what we want as far as the end game of our art. For me, I wanted to support myself. And so it's very important to have a game plan of how we're going to get our name out there. Now, one thing that's interesting is that getting into shows. Now, has anyone had a group show or got into a juried exhibition this year? And if you haven't, you have plans on doing that in 2019? Because that's a good way to get yourself out there, is being these small little art groups that have these small exhibitions. They're like local exhibitions, and then you can grow from there and do state and then national and then international. So definitely think about that. If you guys are interested, I did write an article on that, and I didn't put it on my blog, but I think I'm going to put it on my blog, definitely. Willie says, Kiva, I like your name. It's different and good. Yes, it's true. That's for sure. Let's see what people are saying. I want to be part of the conversation here. Let's see. So people are talking about, reading. Yes, reading can get in the way. I know that book's on audible.com, so that's something that you guys can look at, which is really cool. Kim says she paints mainly commissions and they come word of mouth, which is great, and that's fantastic. But we all have, and as Willie said, we all have different goals as to, what we want to achieve financially with our work. And, it's cool to paint for yourself. And ultimately, I want to do that, definitely, as well. Uh, Kim says that she has been in juried shows and speed art contests. That's really great. How did that go, Kim? Kiva says, same here. Although I've been painting things I want to paint lately, it's hard to find the time. Oh, to paint exactly what you want. No, sure. Definitely. I agree. And, even when you're trying to get your work out there, you might not be able to do exactly what you want because you want to get that exposure. Okay, so let's see if we could go ahead with our rigger brush here and paint in some of those dark eyelashes here. So this was a very fun painting to do. Remember, this eye looked like it was like too close, and what was really puzzling me is that the eye was a good distance, but what happened was is that her pupil was just a little just like a couple millimeters this way and drew me off. It took me a while to figure it out, but it's just important that we don't throw in the towel and we just keep fighting and keep with the process of a painting. Whatever your painting process is, stay with the process. It'll work itself out. Wow, so Kim said she won second prize. That's second place. That's fantastic. Congratulations. I think I'm going to be entering a regional show in the month of January. I'm not sure yet. We'll see. I'm probably going to enter one of these little India ink paintings. So when you touch your screen, it's moving? That's interesting. Just moving around, just putting in some of her hair. Interesting the way her hair, that it's pulled back, how it reacts differently to hair in different portraits. But what we did was we went and tried to see the hair as a large form first, and then slowly we get into the smaller forms until ultimately at the end we have these little forms here. So it's pretty cool. So what's happening with her eye? That's weird. So her eye is moving? So tell me what's going on with her eye, because that's very interesting. I'm not catching it. So Heath says, have you been drinking? You guys are funny. So tell me, Kiva, what are you seeing? And Heath, what are you seeing? One of the reasons why I actually picked this pose, because I thought it was a very spiritual piece, and I wanted to touch that. So what happens is that sometimes, your bandwidth may change or something like that, and all of a sudden it'll switch to very low resolution. That could be, I don't know, but you guys are too funny. I always love hanging out with you guys. Wednesday is my favorite day of the week. When you stick your brush to her eyebrow, to her eye, her eyeball moves. Okay, cool. Let's take a look. That's pretty cool. Have to say. There's this painting at the Met. It's by a German artist, and he's not a famous German artist. And it's like a portrait of this guy, this man, and it's just simple. It's mostly monochromatic, but the way the eye looks at you, the painting looks alive. Like the person, it's very similar in that sense. Willie says it's pretty realistic, but, and then, well, cool. Hey, I need a little help with technology, but I can get that kind of reaction. That is good. Who was it? Was it Mark Rothko said what he wants is only a reaction in human terms, and that's all he really strives for in art? That's all we really hope to achieve. But as you can see, it looks like I wasn't doing much moving around, but I think it's really bringing her into focus, and also creating just an image that is more the vision that I was intending when I began this 5 weeks ago. Oh, like the story of Pygmalion, right? Wendy says I can slap someone and get a human reaction. Yes, you can. That's for sure. Might not get the reaction you're looking for, but definitely. Kiva says I can do the creepy paintings where the eyes follow you. Oh my goodness. That's funny. That's pretty cool. And so it is 11:34. We're doing overtime today. So all right, guys, so what do you guys think of this live stream? This pretty much concludes the live stream of this painting. I'm going to go ahead and play around, tweak some things here and there. But I have to say I'm pretty happy with the way she came out. And thank you so much for joining me and being encouraging during that whole process. Definitely. He says I could wish that too. And so this is really cool. So Happy New Year, everybody. And I really enjoyed spending this Wednesday with you. I think this was a very fun live stream. I thought it was, thank you so much, Wendy. I thought we all learned a lot from each other. And today we had Jeff, who works tech support in Badger. This is really good. And, oh no, Willie says thanks for my time. No, thank you for your time as well. And thank you, Heath, and for saying that the painting looks great. So it is Wednesday, getting close to Thursday. I'll see everybody on Ink Flingers. And look, having a little bit of a hair issue. Got to get to the haircut place, so that's one of the things I haven't done. So next week I should have the desktop PC. We'll go over that, see if that even raises the bar of the live streams, and that's what we want to do. I hope you guys have a great night. Thank you for spending Wednesday with me. Take care of yourselves.